Hi, my name is Sai, the lights within. Today's special guest, her name is Meenakshi. Meenakshi is an oracle, seer, innate spiritual alchemist, holistic healer, channel to the divine. She's certified in several accredited holistic healing modalities, and after completing 1,000 client sessions, she founded Angelic Alchemy Holistic Healing, a sacred space for souls to self-heal and activate our soul's remembrance. The services include angelic alchemy hypnosis, past life regression, angelic Reiki, Akashic reading, and spiritual mentoring. Meenakshi's sole purpose and passion is to aid, hold space for Mother Earth and her beloved children to rise in remembrance of our soul's truth, guided by the power of love and compassion. You can know more about the Meenakshi by visiting her website, angelicalchemyholistic.healing.com, and her social medias by the same name, Meenakshi, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Welcome, Meenakshi. Hello, Meenakshi.
Hi, how are you, Sai? Greetings. Thank you so much, sister.
Oh, I just got whole chill when you said that. As always, you're so kind. You're so generous. You have such a beautiful, generous, kind energy, and so wonderful to see you. And it's so grateful to have you here. So thank you so much for agreeing to be here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me today, Sai, to share this beautiful sacred space on your beautiful channel, which is a channel to the divine. As I see it, I've been watching your videos. So thank you so much for bringing out all of the wisdom that you do with the beautiful, beings that you are working with as well, and for you yourself and the lights within you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I always like to start the conversation with how I was led to you and then to your work.
Mhm.
I have always curious and interested in the quantum metaphysical field and in the world. And then as one of the spiritual modalities to learn for myself, I took a few different Akashic records reading practices in the past.
Mhm.
About a few years ago, this question arose within inside of me that led me to research online, and it was about quantum healing,
Mhm.
quantum Akashic record readings. And that's how I found your website.
Mhm.
When I read your website, the service you offer, everything I was wondering, questioning were all in one in your work. Then I reached out to you, had several readings. I felt your readings were so vast, so expansive, absolutely timeless, which
Mhm.
I knew it's so. And specifically, your channeled message were touching multiple my lifetimes in the past, future at the same time. So I felt a deep connection with your work. So that's how I was led to your work.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing the background, Sai. I'm so grateful. And just as I think there are many ways and modes of us finding each other here on earth, but I do feel that it is all predestined for us to meet. And God Source has made sure those that have to meet, those whose paths have to cross, they will cross any which ways and they show us the way. And I'm so grateful that you reached out because I still remember your first session with me. And I don't know, I think I've lightly mentioned it to you, but after we were done with the session, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because, you came for an Akashic Records reading, but I want everyone to know that the exchange is always mutual. There's always something that the other person is also taking with them. And you brought me such a beautiful present of, love and further heart activation. Because I don't know, you have to watch back the first meeting that we had. I was glowing, cheek to cheek. It was like I found someone that I always knew, and I could feel like the God source energy, the purity of who you are, like flow through you. And it became very apparent once we were done with the call. I think I sat at my desk for at least 5 minutes and I was just crying. And I don't know where the tears were coming from, but they were just flowing, and it was you, basically. You, the love that I felt from you, the activation that I felt from you, I was just beyond expression in terms of words, and I just allowed them to flow. And I was so grateful for this meeting. So thank you so much. I want you to know it was mutual. Thank you. Thank you.
So, wow, that is so beautiful, Meenakshi. It's I did not know that. And thank you for sharing that with me today. Thank you. Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
so kind. You're so
So here.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am going to ask my first questions. So I like to always go with beginner minds.
Mm-hmm.
And in your bio, as you described, and so what the first question comes to me is, what is Oracle Seer?
Yes. Beautiful. I love that you said that you love to go with the beginner's mind, because that is really what my motto here is on earth, is to always be a student and to look out for what else you can learn, you know? I feel that anytime we feel that we've arrived and we know it all, that is the end of the journey. And we're meant to be on a continuous journey of trying to find our source truth. So thank you for, I think we align beautifully there as well. So I know they sound like jargons, all these words, and the reason why I shared them as such was to basically express, the energies that, we carry, and the energies that thereby also go into the work. And, as a healer, as an empath, just a moment. Excuse me. It's very difficult for, some of us to really come out and express ourselves, because that is the biggest fight that we've had to fight on our journeys to embody who we are and to speak our truth. And somewhere between being humble and being able to do your work, this is something my guides and my higher self also guided me to do, is you will need to express, your work through your energy, as well as explain to people, because there are many people here who are, seeking, or, they may be completely unaware that they are carrying similar energies. And as you speak about them, as you exhibit them through your energies, you're activating them. Okay. So, an oracle basically, typically in ancient times as well, way back in Greece, in Egypt as well, in all of those races, the kings and the queens, they always referred to a certain person within their kingdom who was basically the person that was connected to God's source. And that person, that being, could get prophetic messages, premonitions, as you say, about the future. So in typical typically in those days, they would actually visit the oracles to find out about wars, expansion of the kingdom, about famine, how the water is going to be in the rivers, typical things that affect their kingdom. And the oracles would then channel God source energy either through meditation or in dream time. They would get dreams about it and then they would interpret and share the dreams. So, an oracle, typically, the reason why I've shared this is, and if anyone else that is listening and they want to check the boxes and see, maybe they're carrying these energies too, but they've never, acknowledged it or don't know what to call it. Like, what is the name that is given to it? So, an oracle is a person who basically is connected with God source energy and divine energies in terms of receiving information, wisdom, connected to, initially it starts with personal, then it goes at a collective level of timelines that are to come, of future events that are meant to happen. They could be positive, they could be negative. Well, I don't want to say negative, but challenging for the collective, or they could just be neutral. We're just like gliding by, in the collective, nothing important is happening right now. And typically, how I figured this out was, pretty early in my childhood, well, not childhood, I would say teenage years, I used to get dreams about the future. I just didn't know what they were. And I didn't know how to relate to them. I didn't understand them. I didn't understand what they meant. But they were typically about, my personal life. Later on, I realized they were basically premonitions of events that had to occur because each one of those events, they actually did occur with the same magnitude. So, as I started awakening and waking up and working on myself, meditating, healing myself, balancing myself, and started to understand these energies, these dreams started getting more and more active and activated within. So it's oracles basically receive wisdom from the universe very naturally, and they don't usually go seeking it. Typically, a dream would just come and you'd wake up and you'd be like, okay, so what happened in this dream? Why were they showing me floods? Is that a past life? Or is that something that has to happen in the future? And then you sit and you interpret your dreams. And then, I've actually seen them happening on Earth, including things like bomb blasts or attacks on countries. And then a week from then, I would see it in the papers. And, there was a time when I think it was last year when I saw a typical, like a mushroom cloud go up. And I was wondering whether I was seeing Hiroshima like a past or what was going to happen. And then I think 3 or 4 days later, it was an attack that actually happened on a country. And the same exact picture was in the news. And that's when I realized I have to take these things seriously in a way that, I mean, you can't take life seriously. Things will happen anyways, but whatever we need to do. So, what do we do with this information that is coming through? Why am I being given these downloads? So, that's what oracles do. They receive wisdom and information connected to timelines, past, present, and future, about their own personal life, as well as then eventually when they start working for the collective, they start receiving it for the collective. And a seer is pretty similar as well. Seers are beings who can basically use various interpretation methods of divination to receive information, the same information, but they use a lot of other divination tools. So, quite typically, seers would, for example, if they want to see, let's see what the future entails for Earth, how is politics going to be? They may use tarot cards for it, or they may use crystal gazing to be able to gaze into the crystal, or, anything. They could use essential oils to activate themselves. And they can also ask for dream time. So it's pretty similar. The only difference is that I feel that oracles receive that information sometimes without asking for it. It just comes through. Seers also receive it. So there's a very slight difference between the two. That's what oracles and seers are, and that's what they do on Earth. Seers can also see, as well as oracles, beyond what is apparent, beyond the physical. So their sense of, if you're a seer, I want to share this more from the point of, the viewers, if they want to check in and see, how they relate to it. If someone is a seer, they'll be able to see beyond the physical senses, hear beyond the physical senses, be able to have a sense of knowing as well. So when someone is talking, they can hear not just what they're actually saying, but they can also hear what they're not saying. They can also feel the energies of the person. So someone could be talking about love, but the seer would be able to see, but they have a lot of unhealed parts in them that are not allowing for the true expression of love to come through, although they know what love is. So a seer would be able to tell those differences. And they're also able to hear all the clairs are activated. Well, the clairs get activated eventually depending on how much you want to activate them, how much you work on yourself as well. The more you work on yourself, the more you overcome your own obstacles of the mind always telling you this is not true, you're making this up, you saw a movie. None of that is true. It's actually information that is coming through. We just need to sit with it and allow for magic to happen, because this universe is all about magic and miracles. And so long as we believe there's magic and miracles in everything, and seers also would take, they can also interpret little things. Sometimes, Sai, when you're going about your day and you feel you're really hustling, but something is trying to slow you down, you know, and you notice that you're trying to do something, but something comes in the way and it slows you down. Then you have to fix something, and then you have to go and do something else, and then again you have to fix. Look at the theme of your day. Typically, if you are a person who is working in service to others and working for Mother Earth, connected with her energies, you'll be able to interpret it and see that actually that is most likely the energy that Earth is feeling that day. And Earth is going too fast. Maybe events need to slow down a little bit. Maybe people need to hold space and calm down a little bit. And maybe in you or me, whoever's feeling it, in us slowing down and saying, it's okay, I know I have this place to go. Something is telling me I need to just sit down and meditate and relax and surrender, and everything will flow when it is meant to flow instead of fighting the day to get things done. It's all about interpreting every little signal that the universe is sending to us. And in a way, we're all seers. It's just that most people have forgotten that they are. So this is a message for everyone to tap into those beautiful gifts that are laying just dormant within them and see if they want to activate them and do something with them.
Incredible description you provided. Thank you so very much. That's
Thank you.
wow. I knew some of them, but this was really so vast again, so expansive. And would you say Oracle and the Seers can be same as or similar to the psychic as well? Would you say the psychic too?
Yes, absolutely. Being psychic is one of the gifts of a seer. So psychics are also seers. They're also able to see, sense, and feel beyond the physical, and that's why they're able to draw that intuition. Intuition is a big gift, and psychics use that gift. And again, intuition also comes from a sense of knowing. Intuition is nothing but a sense of knowing. It's just a feeling. You just know it. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You just know what you're feeling. So that's what psychics do. They go with the sense of knowing. Sometimes
Wow.
they don't need cards, they don't always need cards. They don't always need crystals. You know, as we say, the lights are within, they need to be lit up. Once that is lit up, you don't even need the tools. But of
Mm,
course, the tools help in confirming. Tools
yes.
help in giving like a tangible evidence to perhaps a person that you're working with who doesn't believe so much yet. Saying, here's a card, here's a crystal, this crystal stands for this, and this is what the crystal came forth, it confirms. It just helps to sink that message in deeper. And the more we believe in our messages, the more stronger those messages get as well. So tools just do that.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes.
Yes.
Wow. That's a huge confirmation for me too. That's
Yes.
yes, I use the Oracle cards, also some tools as well, like
Yes.
dowsing sometimes and
Mhm.
yes, no questions. And then as you said, the more you believe it becomes. That's absolutely my experience as well. Sometimes I doubt it, but then it says, okay, dowsing said yes. And I sometimes like, do I really do this? But then I give the 100% yes.
Yes.
And then later I felt, okay, that was a yes, definitely yes answer to that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for
Thank you.
that's
And
great.
you will just know when you're done with a certain tool, or you'll start using it lesser and lesser when you realize that the yes is just coming from within anyways, because you're holding the tool and you are the channel. So the answer depends on the person that is using the tool. Because if you're a clear channel, the tool will be clear as well.
Can I ask you a personal question here?
Sure.
So this is like I have been into this metaphysical things since I don't know 2017, and this is the first few months of my life ever since I started this journey. I actually have not used the oracle card much. Like there is no desire to use it, but something that already knowingness, like I'm doing. Okay, once in
Yes.
a while I ask the dowsing um, um, thing, but then that's something what I'm hearing from you is, I wonder my intuition, like somebody's intuition, is more like aligning with the within, and so not to external confirmation or help, not as much as needed. Would you?
Yes. Absolutely. That's absolutely, I would completely agree with that, because it looks like you worked on yourself so much. You've activated yourself so much. And somewhere those tools have helped you align with your own intuition, because you would have noticed when you asked a question, you would have already received the answer before you worked with the tools. And then the tools just confirmed it. And then you're like, yeah, I got this. I've got this. I totally agree with you. That's how I actually initially, when I got certified for Usui Reiki, our teacher showed us how to use what was it? The pendulum, right? So
Yeah.
I was using a rose quartz pendulum. And so I used it and it worked really well. And then I got so addicted to it. It was like a toy, right? So, and I was new on my journey. So it was really fun just working, with it. And eventually it just broke. The crystal just broke. And, when your crystal breaks, you just like give it back to Divine Mother. It means it's done what it was supposed to do. And my higher self said, you don't need to be dependent on it. Like you need to move on from this. You need to graduate. And I got one for one of my children, and then if I see it lying around, sometimes I like to just pick it up and just check my energy, just working with the pendulum, and just for fun. But eventually you will experience that no matter what you're asking, the question is going to come from within. Of course, the oracle cards and crystals are always going to be there as our tools, and if you're using it now, chances are that you've basically had lifetimes where you've actually used them a lot, and it's just a memory recall, like the memory foam pillows. Once you once the memory's in there, it's there. So it's like riding a bike, it just comes very natural. So there's no harm in using it. You eventually do need to the tools are also telling you need to trust yourself, and you've got this.
That's amazing. I love that analogy of the memory foam pillow. That's really, I think I will adopt that analogy also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, this is amazing. So next question is, what means to be a spiritual alchemist to you?
Yes. So typically, if you look at an alchemist, alchemists are people who work with metal, and they can turn a certain metal into, say gold. It was typically done for gold. They were trying to see if they could use other metals and turn them into gold. A spiritual alchemist is basically a person or a being that works with transformational energies to, first of all, work within and transform whatever is within us that is not of light, that is holding us back, and to transform it, alchemize it into something more productive, something more beautiful, something more benevolent that'll help us to move forward in life. So, a spiritual alchemist will typically look at everything from emotions, from hurt, from blockages, to anything physical as well that is stopping them from moving ahead. And they would figure out along the way what is it that we need to do to change this emotion, or to alchemize it into something else. Okay, so typically, as an example, I'll give my own example. I've always been a very mellow sort of person throughout my life, and a lot of times what happens is people take your kindness to be something that they can trample upon and cross boundaries, right? Because it takes a while before you learn how to build those boundaries up and say, hey, no, this is my space and you cannot cross it. And I realized when I started waking up and I realized that we have elements around us. So an alchemist works a lot with elements. So you have water, you have fire, you have the sky, universe, and we have earth. We have so many, the wind. I realized that I was using more of my water element, and I'm supposed to be a complete 50-50 of fire and water. And I realized when I did my Ayurvedic test as well that I am actually a fire and water combination. So I was using a lot of my water element and staying in it. And because of that, what was happening was I think that boundaries were being crossed, and I had to work on speaking up and bringing out my inner thoughts because those thoughts are still there somewhere, right? When someone crosses the boundaries and misbehaves with you. And just because you're a kind soul, you don't want to get into a conflict. You stop yourself from saying a lot that you wish you could say, but you know that if you say it, things will just get worse. And then you just like step back. But somewhere you forget that. And then you start becoming this person who then attracts this kind of energy in your life. And I realized that, oh, I also have a fire element. I need to activate that more. So then I started working with the alchemy of fire and activating the fire within me to say, oh, yes, I'm loving and I love and I have compassion, but I also have fire. So no, thank you. Do not cross boundaries with me and don't check, you know, uh, your limits, my limits. So that really helped me. So that's what an alchemist does. They use elements or they use various energies and frequencies coming from the universe, which is freely available for us all, to basically change something from a point A, which is not being conducive to you for your highest good, to point B, which helps you to not only release it, but use what you had as a strength now. So I meet a lot of clients who've been through a lot of abuse through their childhood, basically. And as they heal themselves, so it's not like I'm going in and I'm, healing them. Yes, I'm assisting and being the channel to remove some of the elements that are coming in the way, and then perhaps showing them, giving them guidance of, I see this is happening and this is stopping you. Perhaps it's your thought forms. Perhaps you're stuck in a loop. Perhaps it's inner childhood healing that is needed here. But they're the ones doing the work. Once this person who's had all of this childhood abuse, being neglected, abandoned, heals themselves and stands in their power, then not only have they alchemized their situation and their hurt and their pain, but now they're standing in their power to help other beings that perhaps are going through similar situation. So this becomes their strength. And imagine if this person then becomes a healer and starts helping others, starts volunteering somewhere as for a youth council or a school somewhere. There's so much difference that they can make in the world. And that's what this is all about. So a spiritual alchemist is able to use various elements, various frequencies to change the frequency of anything that's not serving into a beautiful God source love light energy that can be used for themselves as well as they can be used in service to others and helping others as well.
Ah, that's so amazing. And
Thank you.
I think we forget when we were in this third dimension time, like we all tend to, we are learned and we are taught like, we need to have this work, we need to have that work and then a career. But then I think ultimately we individually, we came to help each other
Yes.
in this world. And that's basically what we are all doing, whether or not we are consciously or unconsciously, like you said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. I love that you said consciously or subconsciously because that's how it is, Sai. Some people are going about their days, their life, having a job, taking care of their children, and they don't know that they're carrying such beautiful energies to work, and they're actually alchemists. They're just doing it. I love that you said that. That's something that I wanted to share as well. So thank you for bringing that up because you don't necessarily need to be aware of it or be using it consciously. Someone who is an innate oracle, an innate seer, an innate spiritual alchemist will just simply carry those energies. And as you enter the room, your energy will just ripple through the energy frequency of the room. It'll help whoever wants to be helped. It'll activate, typically like mediums, for example, when they walk into the room, even if they say, I'm not going to be working today, I'm just going to have a good time. But if there are any discarnate souls hanging around, they will automatically just go to light because of the presence of the medium. And the medium may not tap into it, you know? And the room will just feel lighter because they've just done what they had to do. So people are going about their soul purpose job, if I may call it a job, or, work, just in their normal lives too. They just don't realize it. And that's what this is about.
Wow, this is so much clarification you are bringing in here today. So I really love this conversation. So then, what is to be a holistic healer, as you are,
Mhm.
and a channel to the divine? What does that look like to you? Like, how do you feel?
So if we look at everyone around us, including us, how life has been so far. Look at all the challenges that we've had mentally, physically, spiritually, energetically. Physically is a big one too. Like we've had a lot of like physical issues too. Like everybody has something or the other that they've dealt with in their life. May not have hung around for too long. It got healed early on, but it is so. And some people call it suffering, but I'd like to call it challenges. So yes, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I do have to give this disclaimer. I'm not a psychiatrist. So if anyone has any such issues, I always tell my clients, make sure that you follow medically what you have to follow. What I actually work on is looking at, the root cause of the issue that the person is going through, and not just the symptoms. The symptoms are actually telling us a story. It's a hint saying, hey, there's a problem over here. Can you just look? You know, I'm sneezing all the time. What's going on? Sinus issues from childhood. What's going on? Yes, typically maybe there was mold at home, maybe it was genetic, maybe it was food allergies, whatever it was. But what is causing those food allergies? You know, what is allowing for that to affect you instead of the other members of the family? Why you more than the other family? There's a reason for everything. So, a holistic healer typically would be able to go into real details of why someone is going through certain challenges in their life. Could be traumas, could be energetic alignments, mental health issues as well sometimes. Again, consult a psychiatrist, but holistic healers help to get down to the bottom of it. Did it happen in a past life? Is this a loop pattern that your soul is carrying with you for a long time, and now it's time for you to heal it? So that's what a holistic healer does. They basically help in various other ways other than medicine, which of course, medicine is available to them, but in other ways that they can, elevate their consciousness, increase their vibrations, and let go of those blockages. They could be using healing, could be Reiki, could be past life, could be sometimes you just need to hear a message and then you can see, oh, that's a pattern in my life. I have to be careful while choosing my relationships. And then they make that change within themselves. So just getting down to the root cause and using various methods, could be meditation, could be, simple things like nature walks, could be simple things like healing your inner child. That's holistic healing. Could be using herbs, using, potions that can help you, tinctures that can help you calm your mind, can help your upset stomach, um, candles to relax you, the fire of the candles. There are just so many different ways of doing this. And along with that also comes our general way of living, our lifestyle. What is the lifestyle that you're leading right now? What is the food that you're intaking? What do you watch on TV? What sort of friend circle do you have? What do you do on the weekends when you're free? Uh, vis-a-vis, what should you be doing to be in your highest vibrations? And a lot of what is coming into people and what they're going through is actually stemming from the food that they're intaking. They may not be of the highest vibration. It might be the lifestyle that they're leading. Alcohol does not go with our system. It always changes a brainwave and makes us lose control of who we truly are, do say and perform things that are not of the highest alignment at times. Simply not being in control of your body could cause a mishappening. So these are some things that really aid in holistically healing you. So you're looking at various other ways of healing, because truly Buddha said it as well, that as humans, we are all capable of healing ourselves from within. We hold the key to heal ourselves. It's just a matter of tapping into it and believing in it. And so that's what holistic healers do. They use various means that are present on earth, which are basically gifts and abundance from Mother Earth. We just need to tap into them to really change things for ourselves.
Wow. Yes, I am a believer also, body, mind, spirit. So
Yes.
I take care of the body also. And I just recently actually I made myself to do the detoxing, the body, the
Yes.
food detoxing. And the first day was very, very hard. Oh,
It
that
always is.
first day was, I think it's a very mental, I found it. Like
Yes. Yes.
as soon as that I cannot have whatever
Yeah.
I was having, I just
Yes.
really struggled. But then after that, after the 9 days of the detoxing, the light food and all the clean food, and then I was really feeling so much energy after that. So
Yes.
I'm the believer of the all combination of the body, mind, the spirit. And yes, I agree with everything that what you are saying. And then that's called the holistic healing. And then that's beautiful that you also include all the aspects of the life into this your spiritual modality that a service you offer. So beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot actually work with herbs and tinctures myself, but it is something that I do believe in taking myself. And sometimes through messages, the angels do give messages to the client if they have to work with a certain, essential oil. For example, I've had clients who've had issues with their sacral chakra and their womb. So they have problems with their moon cycles, and then, you know, lo and behold, they just said, oh, use some castor oil and tea tree oil and massage your womb in a certain direction, X number of times every day, to just shift things a little bit and to make it less painful for yourself. And things just work out eventually when people, they have to do it themselves, right? So they're healing themselves. It's all within them. And that's what nature has done. Nature has given us so much abundance of, you know, um, even energy. Like, we have, sometimes we feel the need to have like a lot of coffee to stay awake in the day. I had a session recently with a client. I always do like a 10, 12 minute sound bath before I begin my healing sessions. And when she woke up, she said, when you were playing the singing bowls, it's like someone just dumped like 8 to 10 cups of coffee in me. I had so much energy going through my body. And I was like, wow, so some people will really relax. And she just felt like there's so much energy just going in. And it made sense for her because she's a mother and she's exhausted. There's so much that she was doing. This is what she needed from the session. She needed an energy boost. So that's what these things do. Simple 10-minute singing bowls. And you can just play it for yourself. You don't even need to go to a healer because we all have it within us. That's exactly what Buddha said. We are all innate healers. We just have forgotten and we need to just tap within for that.
Oh, amazing. That's really beautiful. That's great. And so now you mentioned about the angelic. So I just
Yes.
go to, is there any specific event or
Mhm.
events has
Yes.
led to you to connect with the angelic realms? I'm very curious.
Yes, very good question. Another thing we have in common, Sai, is 2017, because that is the year that I started waking up. That was my wake up call. And usually people have very dramatic stories. So for me, it's I think it started in my teenage years. I started I loved metaphysics since the beginning, and I wish I could have studied it as a child. I would have excelled in everything that I did, but unfortunately, it's not something that is offered in school. And so I had to somehow, crush my own inner passion and just keep going with the flow. Somewhere in my 20s, someone passed on a music CD to me, and they said there were some Buddhist chants in them. And, they said that some lama gave it to them and they said, do you want it? We made a couple of copies. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll take them. And so I just took them home. This is early 2000. I said, I'll take them home. So it was, in those days we used to burn CDs and then listen to music. So I played it on and it was absolutely beautiful. I immediately sat down and I started meditating for the first time. And I realized that I felt wonderful. And if there was any anger, resentment, any negative feelings in me, I just felt that after listening to that music and meditating, I just felt like a totally different person. Like, oh, you come along, everything is good, everything is beautiful. I just felt so wonderful. And so I did it off and on. And then eventually we moved from my mother country, which is India, to Canada. And in the move, I lost the CD. And that CD actually had nothing written on it. So I didn't know what those chants were called. And so I kept looking for it online, but I couldn't find them. I kept trying to hear them, but I couldn't find them. And so eventually, when I started as a healer in 2017, end of the year, my husband and I wanted to watch something on Netflix, and we wanted to watch something common. So we came across the Buddha series on Netflix. There were 52 episodes. So we said, this is it. The minute we saw it, we were like, this is it, we're watching. And so we started watching back to back. I think we finished it like pretty soon. As soon as I finished watching Buddha's life and what his life was like, from a prince who was protected to completely leaving everything he knew, all his materialism, the palace, gold, everything, and then just vanishing into the forest to find the truths of life and why people were suffering, and then coming out and not going back to the palace, in which he had thought initially he would. He thought he would return to his wife after finding the answers. Once he found the answers, there was no going back because he wasn't meant to keep that wisdom within him. He was meant to spread it. And so that is it. And I looked at my husband and I said, that is what is missing in our life. We're not meditating, we're not going within. And that was it, Sai. For me, it wasn't about channeling or about meeting someone. I didn't think that was possible. That was not something that I was even aware of, actually. So I just went in to meditate, just to connect with myself. And as I started meditating, for me, somehow the journey, and they say that if you've already done the work a lot in your previous lifetimes, then all you need is just a little bit of a light, and then you're good to go. So 2018 was a fast track year for me. Everything was going so fast. As I started meditating, I started to see colors, just like your beautiful background all around me. And I would wonder what that was. And then I would try to Google it. What does it mean to see colors in your meditation? That's how naive and unaware I was. And then one day when I was meditating, I think I placed my hands, palms on the ground, and I said, Mother Earth, I send you love. And I didn't have any expectation. I just wanted to send her love because I was just feeling it. And suddenly I saw beautiful, like almost baby pink and different shades of pink. And I saw gold fill up my entire room. And I burst into tears in my meditation. And I was just crying, similar to how I felt when I met you. And I was just crying and I didn't understand why I was crying. What was that energy? And later on, it dawned upon me that she sent me love back. And that was her energy. And that's when I realized that energy and love is real. And everything that we're doing is being felt by the universe. So we have to make sure that the steps we take are taken with love because Mother Earth feels them. And so later on, when I was meditating one day, I heard there's something called spirit guides. And I said, let me check if I have spirit guides. So I was just meditating, not expecting an answer, and I wouldn't be affected if I didn't hear anything. I just said, do I have spirit guides? And I was meditating with a selenite wand. And I immediately heard, yes, you do. It's Archangel Raphael and Archangel Metatron. And I said, oh, beautiful. And then, I grew up as a Hindu, and within my, becoming spiritual, I reconnected with all the Hindu deities and gods in a spiritual way where they started showing themselves and sharing information, wisdom, love, knowledge, my past lives, just directly. So that's how I connect with them now. And so I wasn't completely aware of, angels, but I do remember seeing Mother Mary in my dreams a lot when I was growing up. And I used to go a lot to the chapel because I used to go to a convent school for a while. And so I knew that there was someone called Archangel Raphael. It's supposed to be a healer, he's supposed to be an angel. And then they told me more about Metatron, and they said he works with children and he works with sacred alchemy. And I said, so what from here, what is this about? And they said, you are a healer, and we want you to know that you can start to work with crystals, and perhaps you can try your hands at Reiki, and that'll activate you further. That's all that they told me, and that's all that they do. They give us baby steps because they can't give you the whole large picture. It's just too much and it's too overwhelming. And I said, okay, I'm going to find myself a teacher to learn about crystals, and Usui Reiki really interested me a lot. That's where I took off. And from then on, I could hear them give me messages. So if just like you and I are talking, so and many people can do this. They don't realize that they do. They're receiving answers. I get so many clients saying, I can hear voices talking to me, and it's my intuition is guiding me. And they're true because they save me from a lot of things that I could have gone through. So they are of light, of love light. And so that's how it became. And I realized over time, as I activated myself, I realized that just like many other people, I am channeling their energies, not just in messages that are coming through, but in healing sessions, in just being and existing, living, walking around the days, doing groceries, just being a channel to all of these beautiful divine beings, the masters, ascended masters, angels that have come and gone before. And eventually, when I was doing one of the sessions, after I did a session on one of my client, she wrote me an email, and at the base of the email, she signed off with a Buddhist chant. And then she did this 3 times over because she wrote a couple of emails. And I said, let me just look these chants up and I'll see what they are. And I pulled them up. They were the same chants that I used to listen to in India. So as I connected the dots, I met another person that was actually following Buddhism. I did not practice Buddhism formally. I don't know Buddhism formally. I've not remembered it completely, but he's been a beautiful guide, and Divine Mother Kuan Yin has been a beautiful guide. And so they brought that chant back to me like a full cycle, saying, you started there. This is where we wanted you to be, and now you can continue from here. This is the confirmation. So who doesn't like a good confirmation like that? So that's how magical this universe is. And I'm like a child. When I see 444, even now, even though I see it like so many times in a day, so many people do, it still excites me. I still say, oh my God, look, 1111. Oh my God, it's 1144.
Yeah, wow. Wow, that's a beautiful the synchronicity, and then coming back to where
Yes.
you are. Wow, that's amazing. I remember the very first session we were talking about Archangel Metatron. I think I remember now.
Yes.
Yes, I do remember. And I think we both were excited about talking about Archangel Metatron. I just recalled that moment. So,
Yes.
wow, that's amazing. And so I think, again, I go back to be the beginner minds. I
Yes.
always like to talk about from the beginner mind because the interpretation might be very different from the individual.
Yes.
So
Yes.
next question is really the people who might never heard of. What is a Akashic record?
Yes. Beautiful. Oh, aren't they fun? Well, in simple terms, Akashic Records, if you can imagine, there's a beautiful universal library. And that library contains, um, because we are human beings, we like to see tangible evidence. We like to see things in the physical. So these things may not be typically in a physical form, but this is how we imagine and envision them because it just makes it more real for us. Um, so there's a library, and that library has books for every single soul that has been born in this universe. And each one of those books is unique because each one of the soul is unique. And so each one of us has a book there in the library, which has everything about us from where we were born, which planet, which dimension, which being we were born from, which God source energy, um, and what are the lifetimes we've led, what are the different planets, universes that we exist in, what are we here to do? It has all your questions, everything to do with your life. It also has life plans that you perhaps had made, like blueprints of what has to be. But because we're in a free-willed planet, we can change those around. Maybe you came in saying you were going to be a doctor, but along the way you said, no, maybe I'll be a nurse, or no, maybe, I'll be a chiropractor, or maybe I'll be a holistic healer instead and be a doctor in a different way where I'm helping people heal in a different way. So you can change those plans because they are very fluid and we decide how we want it to be. Ultimately, yes, there is a blueprint and we know that blueprint. That's why in life, when we're walking around, sometimes for no reason we get anxious because we can feel a certain timeline coming up and we remember that there's something coming up that's not going to be so fun. And so we know why that is happening is because your intuition is reminding you of the blueprint that you saw before you came to Earth. Now, what you do about this timeline coming up, whether you change it, you alchemize it, or you lessen it by giving in good karma, however you want to work around it is up to you. And so the Akashic records, you can actually visit them to find questions about yourself, your soul purpose. What is the energy that you carry? Is there a color to your aura? Is there a color to your soul? Is there a soul path? What are the gifts that you carry to earth? Why are you here? What are you meant to do with the gifts? What is the trauma that you're meant to heal at this point? So many different questions. And with all the sessions that I've done, there is a typical, format that we follow. However, all clients come up with different questions. Some of them have personal questions of things going on in their life, relationship issues, health issues, or could be to do with their children, could be to do with their path, anything. So it's been different. And that's what Akashic Records is. While people do go to an Akashic Records reader typically to ask about the Akashic Records, it is accessible to you. It is accessible to people because ultimately it is your book. However, I would highly suggest to make sure that we work on ourselves and we clear ourselves, make sure we don't have anyone else listening in. There are energies that lurk around. And again, not coming out of fear, just out of awareness and being vigilant because Akashic Records is a sacred book. And what is going to be shared from there is meant to be just for your soul. No one else needs to be like listening in and trying to, change your timelines for you. So you can ask for Akashic record downloads in your dream time. Start working with your higher self and say, can you show me any message of relevance for me now from my Akashic records? You can also make an intention if that lifetime or that experience has taught me what I needed to teach, to learn. Can I now let it go and heal it within my Akashic records so I can move on? Because sometimes people are stuck in a loophole, the same pattern falling again and again, the same bad relationship or the same, issue with trauma. They're not letting it go. Once they heal it, then life flows the way it is meant to flow post that chapter because you've graduated that lesson. So you can work with your Akashic records yourself in dream time or in meditation with your beautiful higher self.
Such a great tool, the place
Yes.
to
Yes.
get the information about it. I'm always fascinated about Akasha and Akashic records. So that's how I contacted you originally. So
Yes.
I love this, and I'm always gonna love Akashic record. So then, I believe in the past, your career path was much different than perhaps the path you are on right now. So what made you to change, shift from the way you were to where you are now? Perhaps I'm thinking about so many people right now wanting to shift their career,
Yeah.
or also some unfortunate because of the economy, they are
Yeah.
forced to leave. So I'm really curious about what is that, what made you to change or shift from where you were to where you are now, right now?
Yeah, very good question. So again, the same year, 2018, as I said, it was going so fast. By the end of the year, I was talking to my guides. I was working, a full-on job, doing pretty well. Always had a career, except for a little bit of a break that I'd taken when I had my children. Um, so I was into HR, which is human resources, and typical into recruitments, where I was helping people find jobs and, connect companies to people and people to companies. But I always felt since the beginning, since the first time that stepped into an office environment, that something was missing in my life. And this wasn't it. I wasn't meant to be doing this. As an empath, and I'm sure that many people feel that as well, because you're so sensitive, it's very, very difficult to survive and live in, the corporate environment, where everything is all about how do you get ahead of others? How do you get the next promotion? How do you get the next paycheck? Who's backing you, climb on. There's a lot of toxicity there. Let's just face it, right? There are good people as well. So I've met some really beautiful people, like angelic souls there as well, but I've also met like really toxic people. So I found it very difficult to work in those environments. But the most recent job that I was working in was absolutely beautiful. Everything was perfect about it. I had the best boss. I had, the person I was reporting to. I had the most amazing colleagues from around the world. And, the job was very good as well. But at the same time, because I had started activating myself into my bigger purpose, the empath within me, the healer within me had started activating. Um, my connection with my guides had become very strong, so much so that I always felt them around me. So if I was commuting to work, they were talking to me. We were doing healings on the train, whatever could be done. We were healing places. So it's like I was literally living in two worlds. There was this physical world and people talking to me here, but there's also the spiritual world where they're always talking to me. So I was just in between worlds, shifting. Okay, now here we're doing this. Now here I'm listening to a physical person talk. Eventually, towards the end of the year, I was talking to, it was Jesus who was holding my hand at that time. He was my guide at that time, and he still is. I love him so dearly. Yeshua was holding my hand, and we were just talking about something. And typically, when I need courage, he just does that. He just holds my hand and shows me the way, and that he does with so many other beings. Um, I asked him, what am I here to do? And how long do I have to work? And what do I do next? What is the productivity of what I know and the energy that I bring? And he said that it is time for you to now start working on your life purpose fully and embody it, embrace it fully, which means that you would need to let go of your physical job. And I said, no, no, no. I'm living in the fifth, perhaps, I don't know if it's the second now, most expensive city in the world. And it's going to be difficult to survive, and nobody knows me. And how are we going to do this? And he showed it to me in different ways. We were sitting at the edge of a cliff and with our feet just dangling. And, he just held my hand and we just jumped. And there's this beautiful golden netting that I just like bounced on. And the second time he showed me as I jumped off the cliff, figuratively speaking, please do not try this. My spiritual wings just came out and I started flying. And he said, no matter what happens, we will have your back. And I said, okay. I said, but you need to tell me because, I'm such a black and white person. I would tell him, like, I really need to know. Like, don't give me in between answers, So I would talk to him like a friend. When do you think is the best time to leave? And he said, it'll be around Christmas. I said, okay. And this is, we're talking September, October. And I said, okay. And I forgot about this conversation. And around Christmas that year, things start to build up. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And the feelings start coming up. I think I just want to leave and I want to do what I came here to do. By then, I had certified in my Usui Reiki as well, all three levels. Um, and I said, I want to work on my path. And everything was showing me the way. When I would come back, home, I would see like a big hoarding saying, This is your stop. You need to get off. It was just written in black and white. And around Christmas, literally, I said that I'm leaving, and I decided to resign. My husband said, "Go for it. I've got you. Just go for it. And whatever it is, we're in this together. And I know it's going to be a crunch, but we'll do this. We'll manage because you need to work on your bigger purpose." And I said, "Fantastic." And without planning it, I actually left on the 23rd of December. And it's after that that I remembered that he did say he'll be leaving around Christmas. And that's where it started from. And everything was just word of mouth. Someone would meet me and they say, "Oh, I'm sending a friend. I'm sending a cousin." That's how it was. And I met the most beautiful souls along the way, every single one of them. That's how I left it. And it's not easy, I must say, because life is full of challenges, and it's not like if you start working on your spiritual path, everything is going to be easy and your life will change drastically. Yes, life changes in the way that you learn how to adapt and accept and surrender, and sometimes alchemize your circumstances, but you do go through the the experiences that other people go through as well. And sometimes those are expedited, those are rushed, those are on a fast track as well, because your karma also starts speeding up because you need to let go of release your karmas to ascend. So sometimes everything just comes to you very fast. But at the end of it, no matter where you are, because I've done quite a few dark nights of the soul and been on my knees, bottom of the barrel, don't know where to go situation. But God source never lets go of your hand. And when Jesus made that promise, when Buddha made that promise, I also work with Kali Ma Shakti. They've always been around. They don't let go. And as long as you have them in your sight and you know that they have your back, you can get through anything. So that's what it was about, taking that giant leap of faith, again through a channeled message, and really believing in them. Because if we don't have hope, if we don't have faith in them, in the beautiful divine that is watching over us, what do we have to hang on to in life when something goes wrong, right?
That's exactly you said in the beginning, tapping in and then believe it.
Correct.
That's what you said.
Correct.
I'm so grateful that how you are openly sharing your very vulnerable place. And I too went through many dark nights, many dark nights of the soul. Like there was a day like I don't want to be here anymore. I want to give up. I don't want to be here. So
Yeah.
I do agree with you that all the spiritual work, people think that some people might think that, oh, it's spiritual, you do this, you do yoga, you eat vegan, whatever, then it's not like that.
It
Unfortunately.
gets very dark instead. It gets very dark many times because you are the light, and they allow it to get dark because unless and until you feel that darkness, how are you going to learn to shine that torch, that light from within to make way for yourself and then help others with it as well? And that's what this is about.
That's so
Oh,
true.
I feel you about the dark night of the soul. So I'm giving you it's a big hug.
There was, and but
Yes.
that's what the all collectively we were so prone to get the happiness or something or someone from the outside of ours self.
Yes.
That's whatever the food or TVs. I'm not saying the TV is bad. I'm not saying it's food is bad or anything. But then it just trying to get something out. Then we lose our power. That it's exactly opposite from the what we came within. So
So
that
beautiful.
I love that you're so beautifully sharing your vulnerability, the tapping in and the believe in. And I love thank you for sharing the story. So um what I have two more questions, but I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Go ahead. I just want to say, Sai, before you ask those questions, I love that you talked about that peace is within and we try to find it outside of us, right? Maybe a holiday will help. Maybe shopping will help. Maybe eating this good food will make me feel better. But actually, that emptiness is not filled by any of these things. It'll be very a short while before you start feeling the emptiness again, because that emptiness needs something else. Maybe a healing, maybe love, maybe, sovereignty, something that you need to heal within yourself. And that peace will come from within. And then it doesn't matter where you are. You could be living in a shack and still you'll be the most happy, peaceful, and loved and loving person, right?
I
Thank you
agree.
for sharing that. That's such a beautiful message you give, Sai.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for seeing that. And I just really loving this conversation with you. So, what is the one wisdom you can share what you had learned from the experiences of your clients, the hypnotic past life regression reading? I know
Yes.
it's so long question, but is there any like what is the one wisdom that if you can share, because you do the past life regression also, so
Yes.
what would that be like? What did you learn? What's the wisdom?
If there's just so much wisdom that comes out through each session that if I start writing, it's a lot. But if you want to know just one main topic that I would like to bring out right now is remembering yourself and walking on the journey to forgive into healing. Because almost all the past lives, no matter what they were seeking, no matter what they were trying to heal, there was always a point that they went back to where there was some trauma, someone did something wrong to them. And so a tie, a karmic bond of anger, resentment, vengefulness started off from that person towards that other soul that has to give back to them for the wrong that was done to them. And a tie became like a cord became, came about within them. As they learned to forgive this person, that event, that life, it's over, it's done. I forgive you. I love you. You carry on with your life, and I'll carry on with mine. It helped to lighten, the burden that the client was carrying. And there's a lot of burden that we carry on our neck and our shoulders. Basically, do you notice in the collective, most of the times people who go for massages or people who give massages, they would know that it's the neck and the shoulders because people are actually carrying burden, energetic burden on them from so many lifetimes. And all it needs is that one thread to start releasing it. And as you release it, you will start to feel the difference physically. And as you forgive them, you forgive yourself, you will start to, come into alignment with who you truly are, that center of peace and love, because all of the other emotions, they tend to then shadow or, cover the love that you're meant to be. And as you start releasing them, the love starts shining from within and your sovereignty and your remembrance comes back to break that loop that you are in, that pattern that you are in. That is the key.
Ah, so that's the really, no matter how many sessions that you have, that's ultimately that really comes back to that wisdom of the forgiveness. And
Yes.
whoa,
Yeah.
uh, totally
And remembering who you are. Sometimes people go
remembering
to
who you are.
quantum lives, they see themselves as council of elders and they're like, wow, there's this emptiness and there's a table and there's a round conference happening and there are all these beautiful light beings, blue eyes, blue bodies. This person has a green bodies, but and what are they doing? They're basically looking at Earth or they're looking at the universe and they're deciding things on what's going to happen next, or they're seeing where to build something new. And where are you? I'm a part of that council. You're a part of that council. And here you were on earth thinking about your debt and your pay and, your headaches. When you zoom out, you think about, I'm not belittling anyone's pain. I've been through it, right? All those little tiny thoughts that we have and the negativity we think about ourselves. Oh, I'm a nobody. Nobody remembers me. No one cares for me. No one loves me. No, God knows every single being that is here. Your higher self knows you. Your higher self is watching over you all the time. They have your back. And there you are as a part of the council. So remember that. And now bring that energy into you here on earth and tap into that wisdom. Help yourself and help your children, help your family, and help everyone around you. Because that once they light in the hypnosis session as well, once they light that fire within them, they remember that spark, they become sparks for others. So wherever they go, it's like the matchbox, the light, it goes onto others and others light up as well.
So true. I agree. It's ooh, it's so beautiful. I
Yeah.
just really soaking in all the beautiful wisdom that you've been sharing. And so the last question here is,
Yes.
how would you like to see? What is your message for the humanity we are all in now?
Yes. Wow. Thank you. And I do want to say that the wisdom that I'm sharing again is the universe's wisdom. You know, it's again not my wisdom. I've also received it from somewhere. I've received it from clients. I've received it from angels. I've received it from, all the divine beings that are working with me. And I've received it from my own soul as well, that has remembered it from previous lifetimes and as well. So, no one can even take credit for it because it all comes from God's source, right? That's why we're all channels. You, me, and everybody that is here. Everyone, every single soul is carrying energies in them that they bring, DNA that they bring, which is very specific. Like you live in a society in the old days, how people used to live, where they would give potatoes to someone and take lentils from another. There's an exchange. There was a barter system that happened for typical amenities that you need, during for your living. That's how we used to live earlier. And in a utopian culture, that's how it is, where you don't need to go to a store to buy anything, you exchange. Similarly, those are the energies that everyone is bringing to Earth. Everyone's bringing something. I may carry a spark for something, but I might meet a client who comes from another dimension and they carry certain gifts that'll help me as well to remember that. So that's how it is. Beautiful. And thank you. And to answer your beautiful question. The one thing that I would say individually that we all need to remember, and a message that I give to myself and I would love to give to others as well, at an individual level, go within and connect with your deepest self, your higher self, your oversoul, and remember who you are. That's it. As you remember who you are, everything else will just flow. You don't even need to make intentions for anything. Everything that has to flow will organically flow through you, your gifts, your purpose, energy, manifestation, whatever you need. And at a humanity level, when we look at it, the message is very basic, Sai, and I'm sure you feel it too. Be human, be kind. Just remember the love and compassion that we are all meant to hold and try to feel each other's pains. What has happened is, unfortunately, on Earth, as people have started living their lives, for the most part, people have become very centered into their own life because, of course, people, lives are full of challenges. People are fighting challenges, fighting fires in their own life. And what that does is, at an individual level, then a city and a town and the whole country, is everyone's busy fighting their own challenges, that we tend to ignore what's happening to another person, another being outside of us. And maybe their challenges are more than us. And if we can, you know, for a minute, forget about our challenges, our pain, and see how we can help another person that is in more pain than us, you know, our society, our earth will become a better place to live in for, everybody. You know, There's war happening in so many places on earth. So many countries are at war right now. So many attacks are happening. But what happens is, because we're living in more peaceful surroundings, we tend to think, well, that's their problem. And, I don't have time for this. And I'm, again, not looking down on anyone, but just bringing it to light. It's a typical thing to do because there's so much happening in everybody's lives. People are fighting for their food. People are working 3 jobs trying to raise children. So yes, it happens that we forget that there's a lot of other pain in the world. But when that pain comes home, if the same attacks, if the same thing happens around us, we will be moved by it, right? Then we will take action. So I feel that if we start to look at other people's pains and start helping them with whatever we can do, this earth will become a better place to live in. We just need to remember to be humans. Michael Jackson's song, all those beautiful songs that he sang for humanity, to just remember Mother Earth is hurting, children are hurting. There's a lot that is happening. And people might think, what can I do? I'm sitting here and they're there. But just like I shared in that little example of placing my hands on earth and Mother Earth felt it, same way, wherever we are, whatever we can do in our capacity, it does not have to be financially always, even if it's sending love, sending good intention, or keeping them in your prayers at night before you sleep. That is good enough. That is enough to hold space, holding space for people going through pain, holding space for others, and feeling that compassion for them, for others. I think that is important. And I think somewhere a major part of the collective has forgotten that. And
Yes.
once we remember that, this place will become so much more easier to live, so much more better. And we will grow into our sovereignty as humans, as people that are following, various structures that we have to follow. And our voice will be heard as well, because then it becomes more powerful. We become one. We come into unity consciousness, and we're not just individuals anymore. I think that's what our drive is. You work on yourself individually, and then you work on yourself as an individual part of the collective, and how this collective is going to rise as a unity consciousness. That is my message, and I hope that all of us play our roles, whatever it is that we have to do, wherever we are, whether we are, announced healers, or we are healers in our domain, whether we're going to work, working the fields, or we're working in corporate environment, wherever we are, we all have a role to play. And if each individual plays that role, we are good. We are sorted.
Mm, I love that. Stay human.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And even as humans, we are basically higher dimensional beings having this human experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So remembering that higher dimensional energy and love that you carry and bringing it into your human lives and being who you are.
Wow. This was absolutely amazing interview. Meenakshi, you're so generous as always,
Oh,
beyond my expectation. Just amazing. How much you shared your experiences is so generous of you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. So, as I said in a bio, I will put all your description below in a box, and you have incredible, so many generous YouTube channel videos as well. So
thank
I
you.
highly recommend people who subscribe and then watch, and so much information you share. And then, of course, you can get the reading from her.
Mhm.
And amazing, amazing, so many. And you do also the Vedic astrology also? Is
I
that
haven't started practicing yet.
okay?
I'm so much into learning right now. I want to reach that point where I feel that I can give to others. So I'm still in that phase right now. So yes, I've done the course and I've learned it, but I'm just continuing to learn it. I feel that there's a lot more that I need to know before I really get comfortable with
There's
it.
always more to learn. There's
There's so
always
much.
so much. Well, thank you so very much, Meenakshi. This
Thank
was
you.
amazing. So thank you. I will close this session with thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Sai, for your beautiful heart. And it is really my honor today to have shared this space, your sacred space here with you on your channel as well. Thank you so much for shining your light within to everyone. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.